welcome to the Jonathan Ross Show. Let's take a look at who's in my green room tonight, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? My first guest is unusual in that he might be dead. Or he might be alive. Or he might be dead, but he might be coming back from the dead. But he won't be one of the living dead, and we've had a few of them on the show. I am, of course, talking about Jon Snow, ladies and gentlemen. Or, to pronounce it properly, Jon Snow. From Game of Thrones, it's Kit Harington. There he is. Hey, Kit, how are you? How lovely to have you here.
Lovely to be here.
Good to have you. My next guest is as controversial as he is funny, and he's very, very funny. He's officially the most dangerous thing on TV these days, and I'm including taking part in the jump. It's Frankie Boyle, ladies and gentlemen. Frankie Boyle. As I live and breathe. Looking good, Frankie? My next guest is one of my favourite actresses. We loved her in Brookside way back when. She was fabulous in the award-winning Pushing Daisies. She's now playing the lead in the new detective series Marcella. It's the wonderful Anna Friel. Great to have you here. And my final guest, who scored 7 UK #1s in this decade alone, more than any other artist. So take that, Justin Bieber. Take that, Madonna. Take that. Take that. It's Tony Temper, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Temper's back in the building. Hey, Tony, how are you?
I'm good, guys.
Look how relaxed he is. And Tiny will also be performing at the end of the show with the fabulous Zara Larsson as well. There's Zara. Hey, Zara, good to have you here. OK, so, a woman in America was expecting a delivery this week, so she asked the delivery company if they could just leave it under the mat so it'd be hidden from view. We've all done that, and, you know, that's a nice thing they do. If they think people might walk past and see it, so they hide it under the mat. And wanting to oblige, the delivery man did exactly as he was asked. I'm going to show you the picture now, and if you look really carefully, I think you can see the parcel just underneath the mat. Because he slipped it... just slipped it under the mat so no one would see it when they went past. Here's the real clincher. The package was from Ann Summers. Look at the size of it. No batteries. You plug that straight into the main, that one. Let's get my first guest out, ladies and gentlemen. He's brilliant in Game of Thrones. He's about to experience the game of couches. Will you go crazy for Mr. Kit Harington? Kit, it's fantastic to have you on the show. You know what a fan I am of Game of Thrones. I think we might have 1 or 2 Game of Thrones fans in the audience. So we won't talk about Game of Thrones. Instead, well, we will, but we'll get to that in a minute. First of all, though, what's exciting is you're going to be on stage here in the West End in Dr. Faustus.
Yes.
The previews start next Saturday, and then you're in it for about 3 months, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
Now, I'm vaguely familiar with the play. Not that I know it's an old play. It's one of Shakespeare's contemporaries wrote it. Are they changing it? Are they updating it for the modern age, or is it a kind of classic version?
It's not in any way like the kind of classic period play that you think you'd go and see with the kind of ruffs and baggy tights. It's very contemporary, it's very modern, it's cinematic, it's exciting, it's got bodily fluids flying about all over the place. I get my arse out. I mean, it's just... You know,
the bodily fluids flying about...
Yeah.
That happened before or after you get your arse out? Is that So the story, as I understand it, it's a man who makes a deal with the classic figure of Lucifer, of the devil himself. Is that right?
That's right. It's about a man who summons Mephistopheles, the devil's right-hand man, and then makes a deal with it. And we've actually been rehearsing this in a church, which is not the most comfortable place to be summoning the devil. And it was on Good Friday we were doing this.
Wow.
Yeah.
What, was a church service going on around you while you were doing this?
No, there was one next door.
Oh, wow.
And a church warden came in at one point, I'm not joking, to tell us to be quiet, just as I was going, Beelzebub, Lucifer! And she kind of poked her head in and went, no.
Could you keep it down a bit, love? And so, but do you get nervous about it? I went to see Benedict Cumberbatch, and he was in Frankenstein, and I got one of the nights when he was playing the Frankenstein monster, and he bursts out of some sort of cocoon at the beginning. Did you see this play?
I didn't see it. I'd love to see it.
He bursts out of a cocoon at the beginning, and he's been naked in the cocoon. And I noticed in the cocoon that he was touching himself. Before he came out. And I asked him after, I said, well, am I correct, Benedict? I thought I saw you. He says, I do. He said, because you don't want to come out with nothing.
I've heard it's a rubber band. If you put a rubber band round the... maybe let's not go into this.
No. But you've done theatre work before, of course.
Yes,
In the
yeah.
past. You were in Warhorse for quite a while, weren't you?
That was my first job. I was in Warhorse for a year, yeah.
Okay. Did you had to play a regional character? Were you from Devon or from Dorset or somewhere?
Oh, he's from Devon.
Devon.
Oi. All right, oi.
Could you do some of the accent for us?
That's about all I can do. That was a long time ago.
Say I was the horse.
I was the horse.
No, I mean, say I was the horse. That's what I meant. You're speaking to me. But that was... but that's enough. That's more than enough. That was great. Now, the thing I imagine would be on your mind right there before going to the stage, now you're going back, and of course you're going back with the fame that Game of Thrones has brought you. And there'll be a group of people, I'm sure, who go along to see it because they love you in Game of Thrones, which, of course, is healthy and it's good. But I know, once again, if we go back to Benedict and other actors who've made that leap from a super popular TV or film thing onto stage, you get fans coming along who are there not necessarily to see the production, more to see the lead, and they get a bit carried away. Are you concerned about that? Are you worried that they're going to get, you know, they're there for Game of Thrones, but obviously it's not Game of Thrones?
I think that's the brilliant thing. That's why I'm in this play, is to bring a whole new group of people into the theatre that maybe don't go to the theatre very often, that are more TV fans or film fans. And that's, if I can bring that, that's a wonderful thing. And it's actually, strangely, in the vein of Thrones in many ways. It's very dark and it can be quite gruesome. And
because there were illusions on stage as well. Is that why? Is that tied? That's not in the original version as such, or is it?
No, there's a contemporary. So the middle section of the play, people sometimes think wasn't written by Marlowe. It's a very strange middle section of the play, and it's a playwright called Colin Tevan who's adapted it and modernised it. And the modern section, he becomes a kind of a magician in the vein of David Blaine or Copperfield or something.
So like a modern day, but a big showman.
Yeah, big showman.
Are there illusions like we would see in a magic show? Then has it got that element in it?
There's some fantastic ones. I won't tell you what they are, because that would be spoiling it. But
yeah, and why come on a talk show if you're going to tell us anything?
Exactly. But there are illusions. I don't want to give you spoilers, John.
I know you and spoilers, but your whole life must have been, I would have thought, for the last few years now.
One big spoiler.
Well, but one big spoiler alert, because you must get that all the time, don't you? People just saying, what's going to happen next? Do you know how it ends? And those kind of questions.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, there's a guy at my Sainsbury's. I go... I love this man. He's very dear to my heart.
What section does he work in?
He sees me come in and he goes straight to the till and he bars everyone else from, you know, he just flicks them across until I get there and he goes, "You ain't dead, did it?" And I'm like, "No, I am dead." And he goes, "Nah, you ain't dead." And you're like, "How do you know?" I'm dead. And he goes, "You'd be crying if you were dead." And this happens every time I go
Well,
in.
he has a point, because you would be sad if you were dead.
Yeah, but he's just... I think he thinks I'd be weeping in the street for the rest of my life. That I'm
so, when you're out and about, I imagine that's not just Sainsbury's. That's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah. The last year has been quite intense in that way.
We did something which I hope you forgive us for. We hid a camera on you.
Yes.
Well, we hid a camera on you to see what you didn't know about this, did you?
No, I have no idea, Jonathan.
To see what he has to deal with on a regular basis, and this is it. This is him arriving at the studio today. Check this out.
No, mate. Are you dead? Are you dead? Are you dead? Are you dead? Come on, tell me, are you dead? Are you dead? Come on. Come on. Dead, 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 dead.
Can I ask you something? Are you dead?
Are you dead?
Oh, aren't you that dead guy from that show?
Whoa, stop there. I thought you was dead.
Excuse me. Sorry, aren't you the dead guy?
There we are. That's Kit was just saying, that's pretty much every day.
That's very accurate to my life. It's scary watching that. Thinking
even
that
the urinal scene.
That's a spoof. That's actually.
So you get it in toilets as well?
Yeah, the guy at the urinal I have all the time.
That one man?
The man that goes...
So, how do you do it, though? How do you keep the secrets that you must know about the show going forward? Mm-hmm. How do you manage to get through it without giving that away? I guess you have a few close people you can talk to about it? Not that it's like therapy, you need to get it off your chest, but I guess there are some people you can trust, or do you not speak to anyone?
I am no longer involved in the show.
Oh, yeah.
So any secrets that are with the show, I don't actually know anymore. So it becomes very easy, Jonathan.
Yeah.
So you're looking at me like you don't believe me. It's gonna be so relieving when people actually see the show and realise that I don't come back.
So we should set up for the sort of 3 or 4 people in the world who haven't been watching Game of Thrones. You were killed. Jon Snow was killed at the end of season 5. And so you're kind of out of the show.
Yes, very much so.
But you were back filming in Belfast while they were all
playing
there.
a corpse. I was there for a little bit. I was there for about a month or 2 months. It was always spread over a bit. And I was
Yeah,
playing
because
a
when you're
corpse.
lying dead, you've got to film for a couple of months. I mean, they can't knock that off in a day, can they?
I won't tell you how many episodes I'm lying dead, but it's enough that I was out there for quite a while.
Wow, so there's a lot. So your body's lying dead quite a lot in
Yes.
lots of different scenes.
Yes.
You're just walking past and there he is again. How did he get there?
It's going to be so satisfying when you see it.
Someone's
and
putting
you
a bottle
realise-
away. What's this on the shelf? Jesus Christ. You was dead, ain't you, mate? You know?
And you realise that I was telling the truth the whole time.
Do you get this from famous people as well, not just muggles?
Yeah, I get this from everybody. Me and my brother went we got invited to Wimbledon recently,
Lovely.
as you do, and we got sat with. It was a royal was hosting. We didn't know which royal it was, and it was the Duchess of Cornwall, and she was hosting it, and we got sat with her, me and my brother, and she leant over the table and said, "Are you dead?" No word of a lie.
I wish she'd said, "Is one dead?" That would have been... Game of Thrones is pretty much... it's one of the biggest shows in the world. I would say that and Walking Dead are probably the 2 biggest global shows, I would have thought. And you must have opened a lot of doors for you, I guess. You've met a lot of people who are famous fans. I know you've met Stevie Wonder. Was he a fan of the show when you met him?
Stevie Wonder, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if he was. I asked him just the most awful question, which still haunts me at night time, which... I just asked him if he'd seen the show. Oh. It's just the thing not to ask Stevie Wonder. Not good.
I'm sure he probably gets that almost as much as you get Is You Dead, you know. OK, so you're a successful young actor, OK? And I hope you're enjoying the success. How do you treat yourself? For example, have you bought yourself a house now on the back of Game of Thrones, or do you still rent a place? Have you done it up in a nice style? What's your kind of domestic setup?
Well, Thrones was very, you know, it's what every young actor kind of dreams of, getting something like that. And, yeah, it put some money in the bank to go and buy a house.
So you got a house, good?
I've got a house, yeah.
Designed inside, classical, modern, what does it look like?
Now, I have a friend who helps me design it, and I never listen to her. And I should, because my sense of style is atrocious. I thought, my bedroom, I kind of set up in what I thought was going to kind of look like a sophisticated gentleman's club.
Yeah.
And ended up looking like a really bad set from Thrones.
Oh, really?
I've got a massive leather bed.
Wow.
How awful is that?
A leather bed is pretty awful. That's exactly why a young man shouldn't be allowed to furnish his own house.
Shouldn't be allowed to furnish my own house.
So when you saw the leather bed, why did you think, I want to buy a leather bed?
I don't know. I thought in some ways it would be kind of grand and beautiful, and now I have to apologise for it every time.
Because in other ways, it's just sort of creepy and wiped clean.
Yeah. The sheets aren't there. It's not got leather sheets.
What? Well,
that would be weird.
I don't think they make leather sheets today. OK, so we have some questions, because obviously there's a lot of speculation online, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
And I thought you might want to see some of the speculation. I know you can't necessarily answer, but I thought we could ask you to answer yes, if you feel you can.
Yeah.
No, if you feel you can answer that without giving too much away.
Sure.
Or you could just say something like, I know nothing.
OK. It's a good game. Let's go.
But we are going to add an element of fun to this interrogation.
What
we have
is
the
this?
Stone of Truth here. Okay? Here's the Stone of Truth. You have to put your hand in the mouth of the Stone of Truth and hold on to what we're calling its tonsils.
All right.
And the tonsils completely autonomous to anything I'm doing, will respond with a small electric shock, depending on the quality of your answer. Kit, you want to put your hand in the stand of truth?
Okay.
And grasp the dongle of perception. OK. OK, you're good there. I'm good on this side. All right, here we go. OK. Are you dead?
Yes.
Do you feel that?
Actually gives me a shock.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how bearable was the shock?
5.
OK, I can turn this up a bit. So the question was, are you dead? I forgot the answer.
We'll ask it again.
Are you dead?
Yes.
I can turn it down. I can turn it down a bit. Was that right? OK, I'll turn it down a bit. Can I see your dead face, please? I'm going to let you get away with that one. That's a good one. Is there any nudity in the next series?
I know nothing.
OK, I'm going to let that go. Are you playing a dead body in the next series?
Yes.
OK. Do you become a White Walker?
No.
Do you come back as Jeremy Kyle?
No.
See, I think that's a yes, the way you responded then.
OK.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kit Harington answered the question successfully. Let me show you what that was. We made this, but the only thing we could find that could be operated was described online as an anal stim. They're shaped. You'd be amazed, though, because second-hand, they're pretty cheap, those things. It really wasn't a lot of money. We gave it a wipe off and everything.
Seriously painful.
Kit, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. I'm so looking forward to Dr. Faustus. I'm going to come along to one of the previews. They start next Saturday, the 9th of April at the Duke of York Theatre, and you're just in it for a few months, so make sure you get to see it while you can. I can't wait to see you back as a White Walker in the new series of Game of Thrones. You're going to stick around for the rest of the show, I hope?
Of course.
No more electric shocks, I promise you. Mr. Kit Harington, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic. Still to come on the show, we'll be joined by the remarkable Frankie Boyle, Anna Frielisa and Tiny Temper. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Kit Harington is still here with me, and we're going to get my next guest right out of here. Now, there are a lot of great comedians in this country, but to my mind, this man is the funniest of them all. It's the fabulous Mr. Frankie Boyle.
No electric thing I see on the front.
I'm sorry, we've taken the mouth of truth away. You don't get to play with it. It was terrifying. Are you a Game of Thrones fans before we start?
Oh, yeah, I loved the books. I read all the books.
You read all the books?
So that I could spoil it for everybody. Oh. And I actually had the worst experience with you and my son. I know we've never met before. But we watched Pompeii together. My son was about 6 at the time.
Yeah.
OK, should we point out that's the movie that Kit made about 3 years ago?
Yeah. And he loved it, like adventure, you know, sword fights, all that stuff. He just loved everything about it. And then halfway through, it gradually dawned on me that this was the story of Pompeii, so that everybody was going to die by the end of the film. And I was trying to say to him, gently tried to suggest to him, look, maybe not everybody's going to make it here. Maybe this is going to be the first time you don't see a happy ending. And he was like, no, I think it's going to be fine. They're doing really well here. I don't know if you remember the film ends with you and your love interest kiss for the first time just before you're consumed by a tsunami of boiling lava.
Yeah, but Frankie doesn't mean he's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be in Pompeii 2 playing a corpse. But so your little boy saw that, though?
Yeah, and he just, at the end, he didn't say anything about it. He just looked up at me and he said, I'm going to think happy thoughts before bed so I don't have a nightmare. Oh. It was so sad.
There was an alternate ending where we outrun the lava flow on a horse.
Really? Can you get it for me?
Why they put that one out? OK, so it's great to have you just finished your tour. Hurt Like You've Never Been Loved. That's out now on Netflix. Now, you said last time, though, I interviewed you, that you were giving up stand-up.
Yes, I'd really like to, but I can't seem to stop. I'm very old now, and I've got a body like a dropped lasagna. Women now look at my naked body, Jonathan, in the same fearful way that pensioners look at snow. And I've sort of got to stop touring and try and get back in shape, but I can't do it. I don't want to be too explicit here, but at the moment, when I get an erection when I'm lying down, it sort of looks like a motorcyclist emerging over the brow of a hill.
Well, that's only from your point of view. But you could exercise while you're on tour. You could watch what you eat on tour.
Sort of, but I don't because it sends me into, not a depression exactly, but a certain sense of futility and horror. And also, I seem to be insulting towns as I travel around now.
Yeah, no, I've noticed this because you'll go on Twitter before you arrive somewhere.
Yeah.
And you'll talk about it in a less than complimentary way.
That's my shtick.
Yeah. And then you'll put a photograph up of the station when you arrive. And what do you normally call that photograph?
Guess the shithole. Yeah. But I sort of think people must realise that I'm joking.
Yeah.
Because I come from a city where people think that hepatitis B is a vitamin.
Yeah.
There's got to be a bit of give and take.
Yeah.
And also, some of these places are shitholes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like a public service.
Yeah, I got a lot of stick in Coventry. Coventry's the only place I've ever been where I've seen a man chase another man down the street with a plank of wood on 2 separate occasions.
You know, we've been talking about Frankie travelling on tour, of course. You've travelled quite a lot filming. You film in Iceland quite a lot, is that right?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time in Iceland.
Now, do you embrace the culture when you go there? Do you enjoy the local delicacies? Do you visit the nightclubs? Do you immerse yourself in that sort of culture when you're away?
Yeah, I loved it. Have you been to Iceland before?
No.
It's a fantastic place. I fell in love in Iceland.
You fell in love in Iceland?
Yeah.
Who did you fall in love with?
I fell in love with my co-star.
This is Rose, who plays the Greek, who I've met, who is just the loveliest girl, and she could do so much better. Frankie, do you enjoy any aspect of being on tour? You must enjoy being in front of an audience, Frankie.
No, I hate it. I don't know, it's just like a strange compulsion. It's like fetish or something almost, that I get up and tell everybody how much I hate them and how much I've hated coming to their town, and they sort of applaud. Sometimes, this is horrible now, people have started shouting out, oh, don't do that, we love you. And I've trained for abuse.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like people hugging a Shaolin monk or something. I just feel horrified and soiled by that.
How do you deal with hecklers then? If they're being abusive back, how do you respond?
I've started trying to be honest with them, and I've got to stop because it's just got too horrible. Some of the hecklers are getting weirder as well. I was flashed at in Grimsby, which is a horrible sentence. But a guy stood up, waved his willy about, and then was thrown out. And then I thought, wait a minute, he's actually committed quite a serious sex crime in front of a couple of thousand people. Like a hard-working real flasher would take years to build up that score. And he's pulled it off. He's not pulled it off. He's and then the local paper the next day ran a headline where they said, "Flasher not from Grimsby." And they claimed that he was from Watford. But I think that was spin on the part of Grimsby.
How did they substantiate this?
They said he'd said it to someone as he sat down. You don't sit down in a theatre and say, "Hello, I'm from Watford."
No.
I think possibly I just come from a very negative culture.
Yeah. Well, so what part of Scotland are you from, Frankie?
Glasgow.
So you're from Glasgow, which I don't think of as necessarily being a particularly negative part of the world.
It's the most negative part of the world. If Kanye had been born in Glasgow, he'd be called No You Canny. I had a day off in the middle of the tour. I went to a coffee shop. This is just typically Glasgow. 2 middle-aged women sat across from me and they ordered coffee, and as they sat down, they started moaning about how long they thought the coffee was going to take.
Yeah.
So nothing had happened. They were already angry. The coffee turned up. The first one takes a sip and goes, "That's not very nice, is it?" And the other one takes a sip of hers and goes, "I don't even like coffee."
That's just it. You know, you mentioned your little boy earlier. You have 2 children. Mm-hmm. OK, and so do you... what do you worry about with them growing up? What do you worry about in the world today? What are the things that you are concerned about them becoming adults in?
Everything. I worry about everything in this country in particular. I think we're living in quite an immoral society, with quite an immoral government, and, you know, they're going to have to grow up into that and negotiate their own way in it, you know?
And the world, America as well, of course, it being... What's your take on Donald Trump?
Oh, man, I'm just horrified. He's sort of like a pumpkin having a nervous breakdown. There's the air of, like, he's like a sort of corrupt televangelist that Columbo would have as a baddie or something. But he's really dangerous. I mean, he's like proto-fascist.
Yeah.
Almost. And Hillary Clinton isn't much better. I mean, she's like the establishment candidate. But if you're in one of the countries that America's destroying around the world, that election must look like, you know, someone's driving a combine harvester towards you and there's a chance that the wheel might be grabbed by a chimpanzee. Yeah. There's not really a good option in there.
Nothing good is going to come out of it either way.
No.
Yeah. So let me ask you, just generally, what's a good day for you, Frankie?
I had a great day once when I was on holiday with my daughter, and it was the day Andy Murray won Wimbledon, I think. And it was in Scotland, in a hotel, so everybody's really excited. It's all old people in this hotel. They can't believe it. And we went out riding, and my horse was a really... He really didn't want to be ridden anywhere, and he was just taking shortcuts, and I was getting sort of scraped branches across my face. But my daughter was having a great time. And then it ended up with this coming back to the centre, and I thought, this has almost been like the perfect day. And I went to get off the horse in front of everyone, and obviously it's got to be a really big horse to take me. And I'd forgotten that, really, so I kind of, like, vaulted off it, dropped about 7 feet to the ground, and shouted, "Fuck!" in front of a lot of little children. And I think that's sort of the perfect day, because you have all the beauty, but you remember that life's essentially stupid as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, his show is on Netflix right now. It's called Hurt Like You've Never Been Loved. I think he's one of the funniest comedians working in the world today. Mr. Frankie Boyle. Thank you, Frankie. Still to come, we'll be joined by Anna Friel and Tiny Temper. See you after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest out here. She's about to start a dramatic new series called Marcella, where she plays a detective. It is the lovely Anna Friel.
Hi. God, it's been so long. Hi.
Hey, so it's lovely to have you here. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
How old were you when you started acting? You were just a young person, weren't you?
13, but most people
13.
probably were introduced to me when I was 16. with
Wow,
the
and so
Brookside.
did you... and when, you know, Brookside, that was a huge gig to get for a young person like that. But were you offered a recording contract? Is that why?
I was. I left, and it was about the time of Kylie and Jason and Neighbours and all of that, so... And they were all doing... made the switch from acting to singing. And I left after 16 months, and they...
Oh, so this was after Brookside?
Yeah, it was about...
Oh,
it was about I did Brookside for, like, 16 months.
Yeah. Not that long, really, but it was a huge impact you had.
No, it's got, like, it's over 20 years ago now. Yeah. And Simon Cowell had offered me record contracts, thinking that would be a natural transition, and hearing that I could sing, but I just thought it probably wouldn't do my acting career any good.
And did you ever regret that, the fact you turned down? Because with Cowell, even though he wasn't the kind of dark lord that he's become.
Yeah, he wasn't who we know him as he is now.
But he still knew what he was talking about. So I guess you could have had hits, I would have thought.
No, I saw him in New York probably 7 years later, and he said, "Miss Friel," and called me over. I said, "Hello." And he said, "Well done." I said, "Why? What did I do?" He said, "You said no."
OK, so Marcella is your new series. It starts this Monday on ITV.
It does.
Now, what a great kind of creative team behind this, because these are the people who created the bridge, the original bridge. Wow, that must be exciting.
Yeah, Hans Rosenfeld. And I've worked with 2 Scandi directors in the last few years, one Swedish and one Norwegian, and I'm a big fan of Scandinavian drama. And the opportunity came about. Hans Rosenfeld, next project after the bridge was Marcella, but he set it in London. The premise is that everyone could be victim, suspect or witness, and she's investigating herself. Really, it's a thriller.
Let's have a look. This is for Marcella. It starts Monday night on ITV. It looks great.
Marcella Backlund.
It's Marcella, but yeah.
It's about the Grove Park murders.
2005, 2 women, 1 man killed in the homes. We never got him.
Yeah, well, it looks like he's back.
I want to come back to work. Peter Cullen, have you talked to him? He was our prime suspect.
You know, she was a much better detective than me when we were working together. Give her a long enough leash, you'll find out.
Don't touch me.
I can't remember you leaving. Am I going to remember what I've done?
Obviously, if you were to talk to someone.
Well, no, no one must know.
Marcella, it looks great. Doesn't it look good? OK, Marcella is, she's a tough character. And there's a scene of you smashing a windscreen up. What's happening there?
Yeah. They kept delaying that scene because I think the car was so expensive. And I said, don't cut that because it's really good and dramatic. And I think every member of crew, especially all the men, went, I'd love to do that. Really love to.
And so what was the car? Was it a nice car that
It
you
was like a BMW Series 5 or something.
Wow, that's a proper car.
Yeah, but it's harder to actually smash the windscreens. Of those who ever had their windscreen smashed or car vandalised, it's actually quite a difficult thing to do. So...
Well, that will make them feel a lot better. All right, here's the thing. Because obviously you are a very beautiful woman, and Kit, you're a very beautiful man, and Frankie. And...
You're gorgeous.
I noticed that the press they picked up, there's a bath scene in this, and one of the newspapers wrote that Anna Friel, I think the phrase they used was, reveals her perky assets. Okay? And then you see, when you see the still from it, you think,
I should sit rather straight
how can
tonight,
this
shouldn't
be interpreted as being a kind of titillating scene? Here's the photograph from the scene. Now that
perky, my knees are rather perky.
Yeah, that is not someone displaying their perky assets. That's someone going through a very difficult time, clearly, in the middle of a drama.
And it's also a scene that's very, very, very relevant to the story, as you'll find out. Like, the answer to what's going on in that scene, you don't actually nearly find out until the very end.
Do you have to insist, do you have to, in advance, agree with the directors and the producers how much they can show if because they still like putting naked skin on display, don't they, if they can?
Well, I think, and that's where all that came from, is that when we did the press conference, we only wrapped about a week and a half ago, so the turnaround's been so quick, and we did the press conference, and they'd all seen a preview with all the notes, and on one of the notes, it had said, remove Anna's nipple. So they were all going, what's this, what's that? Because there's a nudity clause, and the first scene was in a bath, and I thought, well, there's no need to see me naked. You don't have to do that. And she's crying. It's about the emotion. It's not about her naked body. And so you have to... It goes into such detail now, like no side boob, no crack, no side thigh.
Wow.
You know, it does...
Who makes that list? Do you sit down with the family around the table on a Sunday and
say... Yes.
What about Mum's crack? Can
Yeah.
you show that?
The corner of my arm,
Side
underneath my arm. I'm sure... no, I think it's just a general... I'm sure you've gone through that, haven't you?
I don't think Frankie's gone through it. You have been naked in Game of Thrones, but not much, have you?
I have been naked, yeah. I was naked in season 3.
Totally.
Well, I mean, that's the problem with male nudity on screen, isn't it? It's usually in a sex scene, and then you can't have a flaccid penis on show, can you? So you usually don't have to be totally naked.
So what you're saying is you stay deliberately erect so they can't show your cock.
He's got his own personal fluffer.
I think that's a great idea.
It would be exhausting, and you'd probably faint at the end of that. There's another bath scene that you were in the film Bathory. Is it
Bathory,
Bathory, which was an interesting kind of retelling of the myth or the true story, but kind of enhanced in some way of Countess Buffy, wasn't it?
Elizabeth. It took us like 9 months to make, and the film closed down about 3 times, and literally trunks of money would arrive on set.
Wow.
Like this, to get the crew to come back and do it all.
Great character play, but there was a very dangerous scene for you, and is there one that there was sort of special effects got out of control?
They did. They'd given me a song to sing. It was in her... I went to age 70, and I'd, like, gone through sword fighting and going from a young woman of 18, and then up at the death scene was when she set herself on fire and was lit the corner of the bedspread and was going to wait, and I had to sing this... Mój Boże, ślubim cię wolam. It was this whole Romanian song all the way through it. And he said, if you get... And it went on for, like, 6 verses. He said, if you get to the end of the 6th verse, start it again. And I got to, like, the end of the first line, and the whole of the wall started to... Everything just went... whoosh, and I was surrounded in fire, and the thing came down and fell on my face.
Wow.
And my face was full of prosthetics, which, of course, are incredibly flammable.
That's not a great place to be. I think we have the footage. Well, this is quite a scary clip, but obviously you can see Anna sitting here and she's fine. You weren't actually hurt, were you? Just sort of shocked?
I was a little bit, but not... I'm all right.
OK, so we'll give you the warning now, but have a look at this. This is from Bathory.
It was more smoky.
Kind of the making of. So, historically accurate up to the bit where you go, bloody hell, and run off the
I think it might have been with an effing hell. Wow. It was really hot.
Well, it's great to have you back on our screens. I'm really looking forward to my show. It looks like it's going to be great. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Anna Friel.
Thank you.
Still to come in the show, we'll be joined by Tiny Temper and Zara Larsson. See you after the break. Welcome back to the show. Let's get my next guest out. His new single, Girls Like, is already closing in on the top of the UK charts. It is the ever-entertaining Mr. Tiny Temper. Come on. Looking fly as always. Looking so casual.
Thank you very much. How you doing, man? Good to see you. How you doing? How you doing?
Tiny, looking good. Well, it's good to see you. You look. I know you're going to perform in a minute. I guess that's why you're in the more kind of casual attire. Because you're always sharp as a pin, I think.
What? Not sharp now?
Well, sharpish. But those jeans have seen better days.
I think...
Is that the look? Did you buy them like that? You didn't buy them like... Because you can buy clothes already distressed sometimes.
No, you buy them and you distress them yourself.
So you distress those jeans?
Yeah.
How did you get them that distressed?
Razor blades.
You attacked them with some razor blades?
I could do your suit if
I'm sure you could. It's hardly hard to cut through a bit of cloth. So Pass Out was a big song for you.
Yeah.
Right? And in Pass Out, you famously said you've been to Southampton but never been to Scunthorpe.
Correct.
Have you been to Scunthorpe now?
No.
Frankie, I imagine you've been to Scunthorpe.
Yes, I have.
What's it like?
It's all right. As these places go. It's OK.
For you, that is high praise indeed. That's what I was thinking. Scunthorpe must be magnificent if he says it's OK. But you're a big rap fan, aren't you? Genuinely.
Oh, yeah, I'm very into my rap, grime, hip-hop, all of it. Yeah, totally.
Are you going to give us some?
No.
Do you find that, Tony? Do people try and rap up at you?
Yeah, all the time, all the time. I always find that even when I come on your show, you've always got people rapping at me as well. Constantly. It's like a constant thing. That's why I was even thinking me and you should set up, like, our own version of X Factor. Maybe get another rapper involved. We can be the judges.
You mean us two rappers get another rapper involved?
Yeah,
Because the way you said that, it sounded like I was part of the rap community.
Oh, he is pretty down. John is pretty down, actually.
But I've never rapped at you, have I?
You have.
Did I?
I reckon if we go maybe 3 appearances back, there's a little Jonathan Ross WAP.
You just said WAP on purpose. I was talking to Kit earlier on about being a young, successful man.
Yeah.
He has bought a house for himself as a result. You bought a house for yourself here in London, is that right? OK, whereabouts in London you live?
Shoreditch.
Is that kind of... So I guess that's the... Shoreditch! I've never been invited around. What kind of fun things would someone who was perhaps a fellow member of the rap community, if he were invited round, what would he encounter in your house?
I've got a punching machine.
You have a punching machine?
Yeah. You know the ones that you punch in the arcade and it gives you
like
the score?
a boxing thing?
Yeah, boxing thing, yeah.
Okay. To get rid of a temper?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And then I've rebranded... But basically, you have different levels, so I've rebranded them to, like, tiny temper, tiniest temper, really tiny temper, large temper, and it's fun.
Your ego is out of control. OK, you don't have anything like that in your house, I'm afraid. You have a punching machine?
I've got a man. I've got, he's shaped like a man, punch bag, but I don't punch him that much. I've kind of bonded with him. I just hold him and weep. Well,
Tiny, so what's your... do you have a kind of a game plan? I mean, I know you're huge success, enjoying it, I hope, but do you have, like, OK, this is where I want to be next year and the year after that? Do you have
have a family, live on a farm, get some animals, which I told you before.
The plan now is gone many more years ahead of what I imagine it will.
On a farm.
Yeah, what's wrong with farms?
I'd love a farm, but
Farms
maybe not
are great.
at 30.
Why not?
It's probably a lot of hard work.
I don't have to do it.
Well, then you live on the farm.
You live on the farm. I once went to a studio. There's a studio in Oxfordshire somewhere, and this is where I got the inspiration from. I went to record some of my second album, and I bumped into someone who used to work with Jamiroquai. He was, like, Jamiroquai's guitarist, I believe, and he lived on a massive farm with his family. He had a studio, which is where I was recording.
Which is a nice space.
Yeah, there's a little outhouse, and he wasn't doing any of the farming. So I was like, this sounds great. He's got a little lake. It looks amazing.
You were inspired by his laziness.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working hard now so I can be lazy later. Absolutely.
No, but I can understand that. It's nice, that's
we need Britain's first grime farm.
That is true. It's true.
Get these young apprentices onto your farm and make them work the animals.
That's a documentary right there. Let's do it.
It sounds like exploitation, I'll be honest with you. I'll give you a grime career, but you've got to muck out those pigs for a year first. Do you have any skills, do you think, that you could do, for example, animal husbandry? Do you watch Springwatch, by the way?
Absolutely not.
What? Well, it's a great show.
I watch YouTube.
Yeah, but that's not... Well, on YouTube, do you like watching, for example, animals being birthed?
No, I'm not really into that. But the one thing I've always understood, because to be fair, I've seen the birthing of giraffes and horses, and I think it's quite fascinating. But how comes they're able to get up so quickly and we can't? They, like, literally fall out, and it was like 5 seconds. That's because. Why can't we do that?
There's a lot of stuff that's trying to eat them, and they just get born and their mum goes, let's get out of here!
Wow. I would quite like to see your impersonation of a baby giraffe again.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. For a second, I felt protective of you. So you're going to perform this evening. Now, this young woman you're singing with, she has got an incredible voice.
Absolutely.
This is the first time you worked with her?
First time, yeah.
And apparently, I didn't see the rehearsal, apparently she's got some magnificent moves as well.
You are correct.
What is the phrase for dancing that is used
No, she's got some moves.
Okay, moves is correct.
You still got it, John, don't worry.
I like your wheels.
OK.
Wheels is the correct phrase to use for training shoes these days.
No.
What do you call them now, then?
I like your crepes.
Crepes?
Yeah.
Crepes you eat?
Yeah. Someone has actually said that on my last mixtape. They said, crepes, not the crepes that you eat, the crepes on your feet.
Is that a rhyme for that?
Yeah, JME, yeah.
OK, crepes. Well, I'm enjoying your crepes.
Thank you.
Now, Frankie, have you prepared a rap? Is this correct?
No.
I was told you prepared a rap.
No, madness.
You know, Frankie's one of my childhood heroes. I don't know why my mum was letting me watch this while I was so young. But he is one of my childhood heroes. So I'm actually really sad that you had a rap prepared, but you're not going to say it right now.
I was going to say, Scunthorpe are giving you a hard time, and I was saying, like, you shouldn't take this line down. You're a hip-hop star. You should do a diss track, and that we would do a diss track.
Against Scunthorpe?
The response to Scunthorpe. So you would do, like, you know, like Puff Daddy used to do ad-libs behind Biggie. So you'd just be going, large up, like every other town in Lancashire, right? So you'd go large up Burnley,
Hull,
Cleethorpes, large up, and I'd sort of freestyle over it, going Scun Thought, Frankie Boyle and Tiny Temper in your city centre, showing you all what a gun's for, taking your life with a blunt fork. Your city centre's clean, but your mum's not. Scum Thought. That's what he...
That was amazing.
And so Tiny's going to perform for us. Isn't that great news, ladies and gentlemen? Tiny's going to perform for us. One of the best performers in the UK. Tiny's great out here. Thank you so much. Tiny Temper, you go up and get yourself in. Tiny Temper, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to all my guests tonight. Of course, Kit. Thank you, Kit. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Anna. This is the last show of the series. We'll be back in the autumn, so you have been warned. But now, performing Girls Like, featuring Zara Larsson, it's Tiny Temper.
Needed was a plan. Tell JK that I'm still rolling, yeah. Tell Russell I'm a brand, yeah. Bust that skank. Ain't nobody messing with a gang. Might take a fly out for the weekend, yeah. And go cause I can. Go low, everybody get low. Had a couple hits and a couple solos. Now I got a couple Brits and a couple mobos. Drop past that, everybody loco. I was dropping off the man them in a polo. Now I'm with a man them and a polo. I can make your honey give away your last Rolo. And I stay show, yo, you know how I go. What the girls like?
I know what boys like. I know what they
What the girls
want.
like?
They want that good thing. They wanna get
What the girls like?
I know what boys
Girls
like.
like?
I know what they
Girls
want.
like?
So go ahead and prove me right, 'cause that's what girls like.
Rolling on the wrist, that's me. Man of the year, I'm fleeky. Had a couple man, one be me. Them man can't be T. Tell them only winners are allowed. No diggity, no diggity doubt. I was getting before girls were putting out. Told them I was gonna blow, but when I was in the south, go low. Everybody get low. Since she want me, she don't want a cocoa. So I made her sing it back, that she want my loco. And I got a Merc, I ain't got a Volvo. Used to have a black, lucky it's a Roco. Now everywhere I go, people want a photo. I can make your honey give away your last Rolo. And I stay show, yo, you know how I roll. What the girls like?
I know what boys like. I know what they
What the girls
want.
like?
They want that good thing. They wanna get
What the girls
some.
like?
I know what boys
Girls
like.
like?
I know what they
Girls
want.
like?
So go ahead and prove me right, 'cause that's what girls like.
Got his friend. Better pick me up in the Benz. I like cruising around the West End. No Netflix and chill, that's dead.
Oh,
Everything you ride with your friends.
What the girls like?
Need your money for my friend.
What the girls like? What the girls like? Hands in the air!
I know what boys like. I know what they
What the girls
want.
like?
They want that good thing. They wanna get
What the girls
some.
like?
I know what boys
Girls
like.
like?
I know what they
Girls
want.
like?
So go ahead and prove me right, 'cause that's what girls like.
Said I was a man. All I ever needed was a plan. Tell JK that I'm still rolling. Yeah. Joe Russell, I'm a rap. Yeah. Bust that skank. Ain't nobody messing with a gang. Might take a fly out for the weekend. Yeah. And go cause I can. Go low. Everybody get low. Had a couple hits and a couple solos. Now I got a couple Brits and a couple mobiles. Drop past that, everybody loco. I was dropping off the man them in a polo. Now with the man them and the polo. I can make your honey give away your last Rolo. And I stay show, yo, you know how it goes. What the girls like?
I know what boys like. I know what they want. I know what boys like. I know what they want. I know you got the good thing. I know what boys like. I know what they want.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Zara Larsson!
Tiny Temper!
Girls like that now. Thank you, Jonathan.
A roundup of all the stories making headlines this Saturday with the ITV News next and its brand new drama here on ITV for your Sunday night, starting with Keeley Hawes in the Durrells at 8 o'clock. Then after that, the residents of Great Paxford return for the brand new series of Home Fires at 9. And as you've just seen on Jonathan's show there, Anna Friel stars in new crime drama Marcella, Monday night at 9.